All right, so there's a new game that has got me really intrigued. It's called 1490 Doom. I offered to help promote this game because it's centered around the terrain you craft. If you haven't already heard of this game, go check it out on GameFound. I am not sponsored by them. I just wanted to help promote a game that I think you guys might like. We're gonna make a giant wizard's tower that's literally 3.5 feet tall. Obviously, this board won't be exclusively for 1490 Doom. I think it's an added bonus, but as far as the lore for this, I'm thinking a really good concept would be that this tower might have been the tower that the two-tailed comet was spotted from. Giant telescope coming out the top. The thing I think that terrifies me most about this build is, in theory, I could do a full interior. I typically avoid interiors entirely because it's a lot of work, but I could really grow the library of STLs that we have over on Patreon if I kind of dive headfirst into this type of project. We're going to spend a lot of time on this project. If you'd like a full tutorial, this is my fortress board. This project is completed. It has its own playlist. I would hate to leave you hanging if you're interested in this game. So check out this fortress board. It has a ton of verticality. Each section has its own video. If you're interested, go check it out. 1490 Doom, you're gonna want a 2-foot by 2-foot board. They recommend a 2-foot circle, but if you're into playing games like Mordheim as well, I recommend just going with a 2-foot square. That way you can use it for other games as well. They also recommend that you keep the game pretty modular so that you can reuse the board a lot. However, I guess like to break all the rules, and I like to make permanent boards that I can just set down, pull out of storage, and just play immediately. Because this board is so big, the modularity isn't a huge issue. I always like to come up with a bunch of different routes and options, and the more interactivity that you can put into the gameplay of your boards, the less bored you're gonna get of the board. My vision for this is to kind of have a bunch of buildings latched onto this like barnacles. I think this will add a lot of scale to this building and add a lot of different playability options. Because I haven't quite figured out how this thing is going to still be able to open, I'm going to start on the back side where the hinges won't be an issue. I waited an hour for this foam seal to set, and everything was glued together and really sturdy. I built this black building on a live stream. If you want to get notified of the next one, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. To be honest, I've been planning this board for several weeks, and I'm becoming more scared of it by the second. I suffer from overthinking, and the longer I have time to think about a project, the worse that overthinking gets. So the first solution to that problem is to grab things that I've already built with, like that black building and this foundation I built and set aside a long time ago. Right now I'm just punching some bricks with a paint handle, and I textured the foam with a concrete rock. The next thing I do is I just push through the project. I just have to start, because those first couple steps are always the hardest. Once you start, I just continue to start. You got to ride that momentum, and your creative thinking will kind of guide you the rest of the way. Something I knew I wanted to do was add a bunch of buttresses to the side of this tower. I really love the silhouette of this tower, but on its own, it does look like it's kind of unbelievably big. So buttresses are gonna add that extra support to kind of make it look like it's supporting itself a bit more. I grabbed some paper towel roll and toilet paper roll and some other round shapes that I can build on to start improvising a building. I like to kind of put together some random shapes and just kind of see what happens. Lately I've been really enjoying kind of improvising some Mordheim buildings, and I think they kind of turn out better when I don't try to plan them too much, because Mordheim buildings really do well when they look really ramshackle, and when you don't plan them and you just kind of try to put random shapes together, I do think they kind of turn out much better. Starting with that bottom foundation really does make a really interesting silhouette. To kind of finish off these turrets, I 3D printed some roofs, and I'm going to be sticking those on later. And then I cut out a shape in foam core, and for this I really like to have a really exaggerated silhouette. I press in a window that I 3D printed. These are free STLs from my Patreon, and then I coat the foam core with a bunch of balsa wood strips. And I don't really have a rhyme or reason. I really like these to be really improvised, and I also bend the foam core into a curve so that when I glue down all these strips, it kind of keeps that shape. This building looked a bit flat, so I also added an overhang on the top left. Then for the top of this roof, I wanted a bit more verticality and a walkway here. And then I added a bit more foundation here so that I could glue this in at an odd angle. I had a dollar store pack of zoo animals, and I cut off all their heads and I glued in a bunch of gargoyles. This is a really cheap scratch building technique, and it kind of steals the show from any of your unsightly areas of your build. I even use an old metal War Master mini as a weather vane at the top here, and I think that was a really nice touch. Let's talk a little bit more about your Doom Company. That's your war band. Your Doom Company is gonna consist of 3 miniatures. You can grab any 3, and then you pick a class for each one to represent. And then you pick a leader among those. And if you have kids like me, only having your kid have to deal with 3 characters is going to be so much easier than a whole Mordheim warband. So I'm really looking forward to trying this out with my son. All right, I think this is a good stopping point. I'm not going to paint it in this video because it's my birthday and I didn't get a ton of time to work on this. Last week, I kind of did a soft launch for 3D printed windows, 20 windows for $12. It did way better than I expected. So if you're interested in getting 20 windows to help with your terrain build, a link to that eBay listing is going to be in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for helping me get to 6,000 subscribers. It's been such a great journey building with you guys. Getting you involved with all these terrain builds has been super validating. I mean, I don't really get to kind of gawk over it in person enough, but I'm just so thankful for this community. We have the best Discord server ever. That link is always in the description if you're interested in joining a great community. You guys have been rock solid, and I appreciate you guys coming back every week to see what I did that week. It's awesome. So thank you so much for being a part of this, and thank you so much for just being a great person. All right, I'll stop being sappy and I'll let you get back to your building. Go do something. Have a good one. Ugh.